Hello, what we're going to be covering in this video is an inheritance example using Python. So what we've done in the previous classes video is we've created a person class. So what we're going to be doing in this video is we're going to write a class named customer that is a subclass of the person class. Customer class will have data attributes for the customer number and a Boolean data attribute indicating whether the customer wishes to be on a mailing list. We're going to write the appropriate property decorators and setters for the data attributes of the customer class like we did in the previous video for the person class. We're going to write a test program that creates an object of the customer class. We're going to prompt the user to enter data for each of the customer's data attributes. We're going to store the data in the object and then use the object's property decorators to retrieve the data and display it on the screen. So I've already gone ahead and created the customer class and the tester program. So what we're going to do now is we're going to walk through the code for both of those. So let me just go in and open up our person and our customer classes. So what I've done is I've walked through in the previous video is we created a person class that has attributes, a name attribute, an address, and a phone number attribute. We created the property decorators for the three data attributes, and we created the three setters for the data attributes. So what we need to do next is we need to go ahead and define a customer class which inherits from the person class. So on this line, we've declared using the keyword class to declare a customer. And then in parentheses, we specify the class that the customer class is going to inherit from. And it is going to inherit from the person class. So when you create a customer, you're in addition to their two data attributes, which are the cust number and onList data attribute, that customer will also have a name, address, and phone number data attribute that it inherits from the person class. So the first thing we need to do in our initializer or constructor for our customer object is what we do is we call the initializer of our person object to go ahead and initialize our name, address, and phone number variables for our customer object that we're creating. So that's the first step. So with inheritance, you do not have to initialize those variables line by line. Instead, you would just call the superclasses init method, which we're doing on the line that I've highlighted. And when you call it, you need to specify the name of the class and then the method that you're calling, which is the init method, and you pass it in self and in addition the three attributes that need to be created. And then on the following two lines, we need to go ahead and initialize our customer number and onList attributes that are part of our customer class, which are not part of our person class. So the next thing we need to do is we just need to create property decorators for just our customer number, our cust number, and our onList data attributes. The nice thing about inheritance is since we've specified on this line here that we're inheriting from the person class, we inherit all of this information in the person class. So in addition to being able to call the initializer, we can also go ahead and use the property decorators to access the name, address, and phone number, and we can use the setters to go ahead and set the name, address, and phone number. So we do not have to replicate those in our customer class. So all we need to do is we need to create property decorators for our cust number and then for our onList. So if the customer is going to be added to, wants to be on the mailing list or not on the mailing list. And again, we've created them the same way. We specified @property and then the name of our data attribute and then in parentheses self, and then a colon, and then the value that we're going to be returning, which is double underscore custnum and double underscore on list. So those are our property decorators, or in other programming languages, it would be how we would go ahead and access the data attributes. So the next thing we're going to do then is we need to create our setters. So in order to create our setters like we did for our person class, we go ahead and specify at, and then the name of our cust number data attribute dot setter. And then what we're going to be passing in is the new value that we're going to set the instance of our customer's customer number to. And then the same thing for our on list setter. We're going to go ahead and pass in a new value for our on list, and then we'll go ahead and set the on list value of that instance that we're calling the on list setter on. So that is our class, our subclass, or our customer class that we've created that inherits from our person class. Again, with inheritance, our customer class does have all the data attributes of the person in addition to the data attributes that we've defined for our customer class. And through inheritance, we're able to access the init and the property decorators and setters of our super or our parent class. So that is our customer class that we've created. So now we're going to go ahead and look at our tester class. So let me go ahead and open that up next. So the first thing we need to do is we need to import the file that contains our person and our customer classes. So if I go out onto my hard drive, or if we go back into Python and look at our person class, basically it is defined in a file named person underscore customer.py. So that is what we need to import in on our first statement in our tester program. So let me go ahead and open our customer tester program. And then what we're going to do is throughout the program, we're just going to use the alias of PC whenever we need to call any our class in our person underscore customer.py file. So that's our alias. So on the next 5 lines, I've just gone ahead and I've defined local variables for the name, address, phone number, customer number. Looks like it's defined as set to an integer, and then we've on list flag is a Boolean, and we've set it as default to false. So the next 5 lines, we just input the prompt the user to input the name, address, phone number, customer number, and if they want to be on the mailing list, and we're going to input yes or no for the mailing list. And again, we're not doing any type of data checking at all. So if the user enters yes, we're going to go ahead and set the value to true, since we're not doing any data checking. If they enter anything else, it'll actually get set to false, even if they don't enter no, since we're not they're doing any data validation in this program. So if it's on list is set to yes, then we're going to set our on list flag variable up above to true. So after that, then on the next line, we go ahead and create an instance of our customer. So the name of the variable, we're going to hold the values for our data attributes for the customer instance that we've created is customer1, customer underscore 1. And then we need to go ahead and access that customer class. In order to access it, we're using the alias on our person underscore customer.py file that we've created up above. We're going to create a customer. So that's why we have the uppercase C, because we need to create a class, an instance of the customer class. And then what we're going to pass in is the name, address, phone number, cust_number, and then our onList flag that we've set using information that the user has inputted. Next, we're going to go ahead and display the information. In order to display the information, we're going to go ahead and call each one of our property decorators on the instance that we've created. So customer1 instance, we want to retrieve the name for customer number 1, the address for customer_1, phone number, customer number for customer 1, and if they're on the list for customer 1. So again, through inheritance, we're able to access the property decorators for our name, address, and phone number that are within our person class. So after that, we're going to display the information, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and basically update the customer's onList attributes. So we're just going to go ahead, and if the user entered true, we're going to set it to not true or to false. So what we're doing is we're calling the onList setter, and what we're doing is we're setting it to whatever value it currently not is. So if it's true, we'll set it to false. If it's false, we'll go ahead and set it to true. And then we'll go ahead and print out our customer's one's name and what the onList value has been changed to. And again, we need to convert that customer one onList. Since it's a Boolean, we need to convert it to a string so we can go ahead and display it using string concatenation, which I've elected to do in this print statement. So let's go ahead and run the program. So the first thing I wanted to do before I run, I want to make sure and run my person customer program to make sure that it compiles fine. It compiles fine. What we do is we get empty input statement, empty prompt in our shell. So if we see that empty prompt, we know that our person customer.py file does not have any compile errors. So now let me go ahead and run our customer tester. So I'll click on run, and we're going to enter a name. We'll go ahead and enter John Doe, enter an address, 100 Main Street, enter a phone number, 5309. We'll go ahead and enter a customer number, 3456, and we want to be on the mailing list. We'll hit yes. So what happens here, we have the information printed out, John Doe, address, phone number, customer number, and since we specified yes, the on mailing list is set to true. And then on the line right here, we've updated that value to not true, so it should show false. Let me grab the correct run of the program. There we go. So now John Doe's is on list attribute has been updated to false. So it looks like our setter method is working. When you're testing your programs, you should run tests to make sure all of your setters that you've created and all of your property decorators work correctly. And that's what we've done by displaying the information that ensures that each one of our property decorators is accessing the correct data for the specific attribute that we've defined by the user up above using the input statements. So that's all I had for this video. So I hope this helps with the topic of inheritance using Python. We will talk to you later.